Hi students, Pete Posner here for another lesson, and today we're going to look at future time clauses. Okay, so we use future time clauses with a present tense to talk about the future, including predictions and promises. Okay, so this is the form here, right? So this is the future time clause with if, when, before, after, as soon as. We can use any of these conjunctions. Then the present simple, okay, and then we have the main clause with will plus the infinitive without to. For example, if we reduce our carbon footprint, so we have if and the present simple, if we reduce our carbon footprint, and then after, if we start with the future time clause, we should have a comma, okay? Then the main clause will reduce global warming. So we have we will, but in the contraction, then the infinitive without to, reduce global warming. And you can change the order of the future time clause and the main clause. So in this case, if we start with the main clause, we'll reduce global warming if we reduce our carbon footprint. And then the future time clause. So here we started with the future time clause and then we had the main clause. In that case, you need a comma if you write it. And here we started with the main clause, then there's no comma, okay, and then the future time clause. Okay, now let's look at the difference between if and when. So we use if for things we think might happen but aren't certain, okay. We use when for things we think are certain. Okay, so for example, the same example, if I say if we reduce our carbon footprint, we reduce global warming, I'm not sure if we will reduce our carbon footprint. That's with if, okay? But if I can be more optimistic and say when we reduce our carbon footprint, we'll reduce global warming. In that case, I'm sure we will reduce our carbon footprint. I'm more optimistic, okay? Okay, let's look at as soon as. So it's similar to when, but means the resulting action will occur immediately. Okay, for example, as soon as we get home, sorry, as soon as I get home, and notice that the as both times is a weak sound. We pronounce it as. As soon as I get home, comma, right? So we've got as soon as, present simple, comma, I'll call you. Will with the infinitive without to. Contraction, I will, I'll, and then call, infinitive without to. Okay, so that is the same as saying when I get home, I'll immediately call you. Okay. Also, we can use before and after to establish the order of future actions. Okay. For example, before we go out for dinner, that's the second action in time. I think I'll go swimming. That's the first action in time. So first I'll go swimming and then we'll go out for dinner. Okay, with after it's the other way round, right? So after I have a shower, that's the first action chronologically, right, in time. I'll get dressed. That's the second action in time. So first I'll have a shower and then I'll get dressed. Let's practice. So complete the sentences with the correct form of the verb in brackets. Let's look at the example together. So I think the baby, we have start. So here it's will start, right? Because that's the main clause. This time we put the main clause first. As soon as, and that introduces the future time clause in the present simple. We get on the bus. Okay, I just forgot to put the get in brackets, but you see what I mean. So here we have do in brackets and cook in brackets. Okay, so complete these sentences. Each time, one is going to be in the present simple. That's the one that follows the future time clause. And the other, you're going to use will with the infinitive without to. That's the main clause. Okay, so pause your video, take 3 minutes, and then we'll check together. Okay, how did you do? So number one, if, that's the future time clause, right? So if you do the shopping, present simple, then comma, I'll cook dinner. That's the main clause with will and the infinitive without to. Okay. And in this case, it's if, so it means I'm not sure you'll cook the dinner. But if you cook the dinner, sorry, I'm not sure you'll do the shopping. But if you do the shopping, I'll cook dinner. Okay. Number two. So we got be, and this is also the main clause. So this is the main clause this time, right? So this time it's not present simple, it's the main clause. So will with the infinitive without to. You'll be shocked when, that introduces the future time clause with the present simple, when you read that book. And this time we used when, so that means I'm sure you'll read that book, right? Number three, after introduces future time clause, present simple, after he finishes work. Remember the ES for the third person singular, he finishes work, comma, right? He'll go to the airport, all right? So that means first he'll finish work and then he'll go to the airport. Number four, main clause, she'll be upset if, so remember, if you start with the main clause, you don't need a comma, so no comma. She'll be upset if he forgets, if and then the future time clause in the present simple. If he forgets her birthday, remember again the S, the third person singular. And finally, five, main clause, I'll send you a text when we arrive. Okay, so when and then the present simple, when we arrive. So in this case, I used when because I'm sure we'll arrive. So it's when we arrive. Okay, so there you go. So we looked at ways of talking about the future with future time clauses. We looked at changing the order of the clauses, right? And that's going to be useful for you when you talk about the future. So it's been a pleasure teaching you, and I'll see you next time.